Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul is the biggest fight in boxing this year, even though many people don't want to accept it. Paul versus Tyson is a fight that should be considered as a circus, but nevertheless, no other fight is going to be as successful in commercial terms as Paul versus Tyson will be. In fact, in the last 4 years, there hasn't been a fight as big as this one. The best-selling fight of the last 4 years was precisely starring Mike Tyson when he faced Roy Jones Jr. in November of 2020. That fight sold 1.6 million pay-per-views, and since then until now, no other fight has been able to surpass those numbers, not even if we include the UFC events at the convention. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson will not be a pay-per-view fight. The fight will be broadcast on Netflix, and that makes the impact and attention that this fight will generate even greater. Millions and millions of people will watch this fight, and when it's over, you'll hear anyone, regardless of whether they know absolutely nothing about boxing, talking about the fight. No other fight in boxing will manage to get that attention. Mike Tyson sacrificed his legacy for money and accepted a boxing fight against Jake Paul that will take place on November 15th. It is really sad to see how a legend as iconic as Mike Tyson put a price on his legacy. This fight is disgusting. There's no way to justify this. That fight is garbage. On November 15th, when Tyson gets into the ring to fight against Jake Paul, he will be 58 years old. This fight makes no sense. This is ridiculous. Jake Paul will destroy Mike Tyson. There's no other possible outcome. And that is very unfortunate because after that fight, the image that remains of Tyson will be that of a man who was a monster in the ring and who is capable of ripping anyone with a blow after fighting Jake. The image of that remains of Tyson is that of the legend that was savagely destroyed by a guy that most people consider a YouTuber and not a boxer. New generations will remember Mike Tyson as the guy who was humiliated by Jake Paul. The only good thing about this fight is that it will be broadcast on Netflix, and that shows that they have a real interest in bringing the sport to their platform. Netflix already made a multi-million-dollar contract with WWE, and now they're going to broadcast a boxing fight. Those are good indications. They previously showed interest in reaching an agreement to broadcast UFC events. That no longer seems so far-fetched. The UFC ends its contract with ESPN in 2025. Even this opens the doors for other boxers to join Netflix and start to fight for the platform. I would say that the worst thing about the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight is that unfortunately, Tyson made the mistake of accepting that this was a professional fight and not an exhibition fight. If Mike and Jake wore protective helmets in this fight and put on a boxing exhibition, this would not have been as disastrous as it will be. But unfortunately, ego defeated Iron Mike. And he believes that he still has what it takes to defeat a guy who is 30 years younger than him. The last time Mike Tyson had a professional fight was 19 years ago, the fight against Roy Jones Jr. in 2020. But that fight was an exhibition, and in fact, I think it was forbidden to knock someone out. So Mike, who's an older man and obviously should not be fighting, he's going to put his life and his legacy at risk against a guy who is considered a YouTuber and not a professional boxer. But the big problem is that although people do not consider Jake Paul a real fighter, he's shown that he has acquired certain skills over time, and that is enough to brutally knock out Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was knocked out 5 times in his professional career, meaning when Tyson was in the best physical shape of his life, he was brutally knocked out multiple times. What makes you think that Mike Tyson, now at 58 years old and with health problems, is going to withstand a clean punch from Jake Paul? Jake Paul is a guy who has shown that he has knockout power, and Mike Tyson is a guy who has shown that he has health problems. In fact, that was the reason why this fight was postponed from July 20th to November 15th of this year. I truly fear for Mike Tyson's health, and I firmly believe that this fight should not happen because this could end in tragedy that hopefully does not happen. Mike Tyson has undergone surgeries on his back and knee in recent years. These injuries are not uncommon in high-level athletes, since the wear and tear of training and fighting severely impact the joints and the body in general. Mike Tyson had an ulcer outbreak while boarding a plane, And that news caused the fight against Jake Paul to be postponed after that health problem that Tyson had not much information was given to the public. But I think that was due to Tyson's overtraining at that age, who at that time was doing a training camp. Mike Tyson in this fight against Jake Paul is also risking suffering a serious brain problem. Mike has already been lucky not to be diagnosed with CTE after his extensive career as a professional boxer. But now, at 58 years old, he's exposing himself more than ever to developing brain damage that may be irreparable. CTE is caused by repeated blows to the head and can result in issues such as depression, memory problems, confusion, and personality changes, something that has been seen in many retired boxers. Tyson has mentioned in several interviews that he's suffered from mental health issues throughout his life, which could be related to his history of being hit. Hopefully none of what I'm saying will happen, but unfortunately, it is a strong possibility. Boxing fans need to understand that Mike Tyson is an old man. I know a lot of people are excited because they've seen videos of Mike Tyson training where he looks like a real beast. But those fans need to be smarter and know that those videos mean absolutely nothing. Those Mike Tyson videos are multiple 3 or 5 second clips combined into one video. You've never even seen a long video of Mike Tyson training. Mike Tyson has no chance of beating Jake Paul. Tyson is already an old guy, slow and without reflexes. Jake Paul is a young guy with a lot of knockout power, and he's 30 years younger than Iron Mike Tyson. Unfortunately for Mike's fans and boxing fans in general, on November 15th, the iron will be melted. Jake Paul is going to brutally knock out Mike Tyson, and that should happen early in the fight. If that doesn't happen in the first rounds, it's simply because Jake Paul decided to prolong the fight for the spectacle.